we're talking about fatigue, but we're really coming back to talking about optimal well-being. And it's not just about getting a good night's sleep in regards to 8-9 hours. It's about the quality of your sleep rather than the quantity. We actually spend a third of our life sleeping. And we do actually up to 16 hours of sleeping when we're a newborn, and we probably sometimes spend about 16 hours in bed as an old person, but the sleep quality is very different. So what I'm going to share with you today is what is sleep, what actually is happening while we sleep, and how can we optimise what's happening while we sleep so you wake up refreshed. Because the whole idea of sleep is that you wake up ready for the next day with joy, ability to get out and not have coffee without functioning for the day, and a lot of mojo. Who here wakes up with a lot of bounce in their step first thing in the morning? Not many others. So sometimes, I guess tonight is about giving you tools to be able to optimise that. Okay? What's really interesting is that 1 in 3 people do have a sleep issue. There was some research done in Sydney by the RTA in regards to road accidents, and they found the number one reason for road accidents is sleep debt. And tonight I'm going to define what sleep debt is. We're also going to help you understand that a lot of people we know, significantly have sleep issues because sleeping pills are $1 billion business. There's $300 million a year spent on marketing for sleeping pills. So we know people are using them, and we know people do require some help with sleep. What's really interesting is that a good night's sleep actually reduces our incidence of the Western diseases. So we're talking things like cancer, heart disease, blood pressure issues, so elevated blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, depression, anxiety, autoimmune disease. It's pretty rampant, isn't it? They are top 10 diseases, probably excluding 1 or 2, but they can all be empirically related to sleep. And sleep now, empirically, has been proven to be just as important as diet and exercise in reducing those risk factors and improving your longevity and your well-being. So who wants a good night's sleep? Without the Prozac! Yeah. So what I'm going to do is get a little bit nuts and bolts with things and just talk about the science of sleep. What actually happens? How do we fall asleep? What is the architecture of sleep? Now, in life, we are governed by cycles. Yeah, we've got the cycles of day and night, we've got the cycles of the seasons, and we've got rhythms. And we have a rhythm in our body called the circadian rhythm. Anyone heard of that term? Yeah. And that circadian rhythm is, I guess, our body clock. And when our body clock is in sync and it's flowing, we will sleep well. Insomnia is actually defined as anyone that consistently can't get to sleep within a half an hour. So is anyone here like that? Yeah? Yeah. So it is actually a very common problem. So let's talk about, I'm going to remove this now, sleep and beyond, and talk about the cycle of sleep. So there's 5 cycles. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 stages of sleep. And the first stage is when we first fall asleep. And roughly it takes around 15 minutes. And this is the stage of sleep. We've got alpha waves. And then we move into the second stage of sleep. So I'm just going to, I'll write things up and move out of the way, called theta waves. And this is that stage of sleep. Has anyone ever been in front of the TV and they fall asleep and then they wake up again and think, what did I miss? How long have I been out? It's a twilight sleep. This is known as light sleep. It's called theta waves. Does anyone meditate in the room? Anyone a regular meditator? No. Well, what's really interesting, a lot of research has now been done on meditation, and they're showing that meditation puts us in theta waves. And we know that meditation has health benefits. It calms down the nervous system, and it actually enhances and optimises our health. So we know why. It's because we are getting some restoration in this first stage of sleep. So if you had a little nana nap, we often are just in a little bit of a stage 2 of sleep. And we do have some restorative properties there. But what's actually happening, this is also known as preparation. It's our preparation stage for these 2 stages of sleep. And as we come around into stages 3 and 4, which I'm going to group together for simplicity, we know that as deep sleep. It's also known as slow wave sleep or delta waves, if you just, a bit of the science there. And this is a deep sleep. This is the stage of sleep. If you're woken out of it, you may feel completely disorientated. Anyone here? But where was I? It is actually the stage of sleep. If you're woken out of it through the night, this is why you have trouble getting back to sleep. Yeah? Because often we'll go through stages, we might wake up here and we can just go to the toilet, come back and we'll drift off again. But it's when we're interrupted out of our deep sleep that we won't get back to sleep. This is the stage of sleep that we'll sleepwalk, we'll sleep talk, we'll have nightmares, night terrors, hallucinations, all those things. Wrestle with the pillow, doona, smash your partner accidentally. This is the stage of sleep where we're still very active in bed. But then we move around to the next stage. And who has heard of REM? Yeah, do we know what it stands for?
Rapid eye.
Rapid eye movement. So we move into this stage of sleep, and rapid eye movement is exactly that. The only thing that is moving in your body is your eyes. So your body is actually, the skeletal muscles are actually paralysed. So the only thing that's happening is eye movement. And we know REM sleep to be dream sleep. So it's where we dream. We dream here. Who dreams when they're awake? The biggest daydreamer here. Anyone else? Yeah. We dream here. We will dream here. But this is the stage of sleep. Our dreams serve to heal us. Our dreams serve to consolidate our memory. Our dreams serve to consolidate and improve our emotions, our affect, which is our expression. When we dream sleep, it is like a computer program. So you're sitting down to this computer and there's files everywhere, and you are going to tidy up that computer, those files. And that's what's happening in your brain. So you are collating things. You're putting things in a memory. You're putting things into emotions. You're actually wanting to put things in recycling bins. So what we're actually doing, we can dream to forget. We dream to heal. You know how time heals all wounds? Mm-hmm. We do get healing and consolidation in our dream sleep. We also get clarity of our thoughts, and we get clarity of our emotions. So who's ever been really tired and noticed they're more emotional? Mm-hmm. And they're foggy in their thinking? Or who has ever said, I can't make a decision, let me sleep on it? Yeah? And that is because you get a better answer after a better night's sleep. So it's sometimes good to sip up, have a good night's sleep, and the answer will come to you in the morning. Does anyone relate to that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. Or we change our mind after a good night's sleep because we get better clarity about what we want. Yeah. So this is really about our cognition. This is about our brain. This is about our emotions, our memory. This we're going to talk about tonight, is all about your physical repair. Now it takes around 90 minutes to do a full cycle. And we have 4 to 6 cycles per night. What's really interesting, when we get into our first cycle of the night, we only spend 10 minutes here in dream sleep. By the end of the night, as we progress up to our 6th cycle, we've spent up to an hour in dream sleep. Who ever wakes up in a dream to the alarm clock? Yeah? No? You're in the band? Anything like that? So we dream more in the early hours. Has anyone ever heard the concept that we need to be in bed about 10 o'clock, and the later we go to bed, the poorer it is for your health? Yeah? And the reason being is because the first half of the night, we're pretty much doing a lot of this. The second half of the night, we're doing a lot of this. We're doing a lot of dreaming. Yeah? So this is why it's so important to optimally get to bed around 10 o'clock. So that'll be one of our solutions. 80-20 rule as well, guys. So it doesn't mean that every night you have to be in bed by 10, but it's trying to do it most nights if you want to be optimally well. If you want to be in bed 6. What time are you in bed?
No. I would never, like if I went to bed at 10 o'clock every night, I would not function properly.
Yeah, because you go to bed earlier?
Yeah, because I get up early.
And that question is often asked to me, does that mean I have to wait up to 10? So no. If there's someone that's in bed at 8 o'clock, please, but no later than 10 actually, or no later essentially than 11 o'clock, if you want to be optimally well. So that is the sleep cycle. 4 to 6 cycles, we spend 90 minutes doing one cycle, and we spend up to 60 minutes at the end of the night in our dream sleep. Any questions about our sleep cycle? So how do we initiate this? How does that actually start? So the body clock. I'm going to take you on a little bit of an analogy here. We're going to call it, it's called a board meeting. And there's the table, and there's the seats. And at your board meeting, you actually have one every night. You have lots of different members. And one of those members is going to be zinc, one's going to be magnesium. We've got some B vitamins here. We've even got cholesterol. Remember, we love cholesterol now, don't we? Mm-hmm. We also have progesterone. And then we have some dwarfs like serotonin. We have dopamine or doping. We have GABA. And we're going to squeeze two more in because we have melatonin. We have to fit these guys in. You have another one called adenosine. You don't need to remember all these. You just need to know that your body will have these guys in abundance in a very balanced diet. So we actually extract a lot of these guys from our diet. But we need every board member to be available and to be present to initiate sleep. Like board meetings do. Yeah, they all come together and they sit around and they initiate a meeting and then they're going to have agenda items. So what's actually happening as these guys get together, we're going to start discussing some things. And the things that we discuss are really the things that are happening in sleep. So the first thing that your body wants to do when you go to sleep is detox. And what's really interesting, if you say, we're going to elaborate on what detoxification is about, but it really, I guess, refers to the liver function. And so what's really interesting, a lot of people think, oh, my liver, it must be, working with me all the time, and it is. But we actually detoxify every day, and we detoxify every night. So we don't just detox once a year when it's spring, when we go find the Blackmore's kit. We are actually detoxifying every night. And that, the reason being, because your body wants to make it a priority to do that. Because when we detoxify, we deal with things. So it's not about being overwhelmed by toxins and pollution and all those things that your body has to deal with, to deal with, but it's about supporting your liver to do that. Who whistled? Is it?
No, someone.
Yeah. That's right. Mine must be a bird. All right. So, is there a bird? Yeah.
Someone looking for the
Oh, there's a guy. Okay. Sorry. Easily distracted here. So we detoxify as we sleep. That is the liver's function. What else we do is we actually release hormones. And one of them is going to be our growth hormone. We release lots of it. We actually do a lot of regulation. And I'm going to talk about those things in detail. But let's just get back to detoxification. Because what are the kind of things that might slow down your liver's function? Anyone else?
Diet.
Diet? What in the diet could really challenge the liver's function? What was that? Alcohol. Yeah, that's a good start. Yeah, alcohol.
Just ginger.
What else?
Sugar.
Fat.
Sugar. Yep. Fats. What else? Girls?
Chemicals.
Women's health girls?
Oh, yeah.
Coffee?
Coconut.
What's that S word? Stress! Stress? What was the other one? Coconut. What else, guys? Anything else? Serotonin. No, that's good for the body. So we've got, so what are the things that slow down the liver? We have got alcohol, we've got sugar, we've got poor fats. Okay, don't get me wrong, not all fats are bad for you. There are some really good fats that we need to eat. We've got hydrogenated fats, we've got trans fats, we've got recycled fats, vegetable fats that are heated. So they're all nasty for our body. We've got coffee, caffeine. So not only is it coffee, but it can be caffeinated drinks. Because a lot of people say, well, I don't drink hot drinks, but there's all those, the Red Bulls and the Mothers and all those things as well. Then we've got stress. Because with stress, we produce a lot of cortisol, and the liver has to deal with cortisol. What about, we add a little bit to this, what about medications? What about pollution? And then we've got heavy metals. So there's a lot, isn't there? There's a lot that your liver has to deal with. Now, what if we've got a lifestyle that has got a lot of this going on?
Sure.
You'll basically age quicker. And you'll basically, what you'll do, as soon as you initiate sleep and you go into your agenda items, priority number one every night is to detoxify. So if you're spending up to 5-6 hours trying to do that job, can you see how you're not leaving any room for all the other functions that happen to restore you? So what we've got to make sure we do, and it's not about removing these completely, it's about modification. And I often actually say it's about your relationship with them. Your relationship with them. Particularly this one. Particularly this one. Particularly this one. Particularly this one. There's really a lot of them. It's about looking at your relationship with them. Because they often become a part of our routine. They often become part of our ritual, and we don't really realise the health effects that they can have. Once again, it's not about these being all bad for you. It's just about how much. So if we can optimise the intake of all this stuff, we're going to optimise our liver's function. And if we can do that, we can move beyond the liver's role in sleep, and we can move into the other role. And one of the main roles is the release of growth hormone. Now, a lot of people might think, well, we don't need growth hormone, we're not bodybuilders. Because it really typically is bodybuilders that like a lot of growth hormone. What's really interesting is that men naturally produce more growth hormone. That's why they have a lot more muscle in their body. But we ladies, we need it as well. What growth hormone actually does in our body, it actually allows us to create hormones and release them. It allows us to burn fats, burn carbohydrates, burn protein. It also allows us to heal, restore and recover. So remember, what I'm talking about with healing, I'm talking about your organs. Because every day, your body is breaking down. Yeah? Everything is continuously breaking down. And we actually shed 18 kilos of skin in a lifetime. It's a lot of letting go, isn't it? We are actually a whole new body every 7 years. So we are continuously replicating. And this is why when we eat food, when it's our nourishment and it goes into our body, goes into the liver, which is the factory, it gets broken down, it gets released into different departments, particularly coming into the organs, it can actually allow them to restore and repair. But we need growth hormone to actually govern that. Yeah, so who wants growth hormone? We do want a lot of it, don't we? We actually release growth hormone when we do a cardiovascular workout, particularly with weights. Men will release more after weight training, but we both equally will release some in our deep sleep. But we need to get into, of course, good quality deep sleep to be able to do that. Yeah? Getting into deep sleep, I guess, just to paraphrase what I was just saying, is all about the quality of your sleep, not just the quantity. In a good night's sleep, textbook is around 7 to 8 hours. Yeah? We require. Sleep debt is anything consistently under 6 hours. So you really can't get away with doing 4 hours for 5 nights a week, and then on the weekends you'll catch up with 10 hours sleeps. It kind of doesn't work like that. It's been really interesting trying to researching the literature on that stand. What is catch-up sleep? Does it benefit you? It does to a certain degree, but not towards your optimal well-being. Yeah? I'd say let's all go for the optimal well-being. Hey, we'll get we want the real prize. So you've got to understand that we actually spend, in a good night's sleep, when we're starting to get through all the agenda items, we only spend 20% of our time here in deep sleep. And then we spend 25% of our time here. So where do we spend the other 55%? In light sleep. Yeah? And maybe even some here. So we are doing, a lot of people say, well, what if I get up and go to the toilet once or twice in the night, but I go back to bed and I'm fine, I just fall back to sleep? It's not a problem, because you often are doing that in these stages of sleep.
Sorry, Shannon, can you just repeat that? It's a little bit hard for us to see.
Yeah, okay. So So we spend 20% of our time in deep sleep
Yeah.
in a good night, and we spend 25% in dream sleep in a good night.
Which is, we have that okay over there.
Yeah, in dream sleep.
Five. Number five.
Yeah. When we age, as we get older, this declines 10% and 10%. So can you see how, as we age, we accelerate the aging process because we're not getting our release of growth hormone, we're not getting our detoxification done. So the whole idea is optimising this 20% and 25% as long as we can. Yeah? It is very inevitable that as we age, particularly in the Western world, we get to a point where we actually accelerate that ageing process. And if you compare it to people in the Asian countries, they actually don't do that because they're active and they keep moving. So we want to make sure that we don't have saboteurs of these two, particularly your deep sleep.
Does the release of growth hormone slow down as you get older? Or
Yes.
It does?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So that is something. The reason why it declines is because often what declines in older people is their muscle. Yeah, and when you've got good quality muscle on, you will produce growth hormone. Yeah. So growth hormone's doing a lot, guys. Already I've only mentioned 2 points, detoxification and the release of growth hormone, and they are 2 massive components that happen in your sleep. The other thing that we're actually doing is a lot of regulation. So our body, I keep using this concept of the orchestra, so you'll probably get sick of hearing it, but the orchestra is our body all working in sync. So you've got all the members of the band, yeah, playing all the different instruments. And if they're working and flowing and in tune together, everything is going to work. And that's what your body is aiming to do every night. It's going, righto, we've got to get back to a set point. So what we're actually doing is regulating, and one of the most important things that we regulate is our blood sugars. So I'm going to write that there. Now what's really interesting about blood sugar levels is that a derangement of your blood sugars is what causes diabetes. Diabetes still continues to be an epidemic. By the age of 60, you have a 1 in 3 chance of developing type 2 diabetes. Any child born after the year 2000 has a 1 in 5 chance of developing diabetes. So it's still an issue. Diabetes is a massive problem and therefore a massive health cost. What's really interesting, diabetes is related to our blood sugars and stabilising them. And we actually go about regulating our blood sugars in our deep sleep. Now the other most relevant thing is, because you might be sitting there going, well, I don't have diabetes, I'm fine. But what's really interesting is that when we have elevated blood sugars, we possibly go back to that pattern of when we wake up in the morning, we have blood sugars that look somewhat like this. So they go up and they go down. And we discussed this I think we discussed this, up and down and up and down. Have we discussed this? Yeah. A lot of people haven't understood, haven't seen it. But what actually happens when you eat a diet with a lot of carbohydrate in it, not necessarily, because when I often say to people, oh, do you eat a lot of sugar in your diet? Oh, no, I don't eat sugar. And then I had a classic example of it this week. A lady said, no, I don't add sugar to my diet at all. And then when I actually had a consult with her, I discovered that she was eating 6 pieces of fruit a day, loved pasta, loved white rice, and she was eating a lot of bread. So she was still eating a lot of sugar, essentially, because carbohydrate is broken down sugar. Are you guys with me there? Yeah. And so what that kind of diet will do to someone is cause fluctuations in your blood sugars. So they look somewhat like they spike. They look somewhat like I'd call a roller coaster. And really, that's what those people start to become in their life, up and down, up and down. And who can last on a roller coaster all day? You'd get exhausted, wouldn't you? Yeah. What's actually happening, every time your blood sugar spikes, your body's saying, priority here, I need to release insulin to manage this sugar, because sugar in the bloodstream is toxic. And what we do, we pump out that gorgeous organ hormone called insulin from that organ called the pancreas, and the insulin grabs hold of that sugar like a key and lock, takes it to the cells of the body, liver cells as well, and looks and pushes it in. Yeah? Because we want it out of the bloodstream. Now, insulin also equals fat storage. So when we're pumping out a lot of insulin, we're going to create fat storage in our body. So this is where we need to make sure that we're not stressing our body with lots of sugar in our diet. That's why sugar congests the liver, because the liver has to deal with it as well. Because if it doesn't, it'll either get stored in the liver, or it gets stored in fat cells, or it gets used as energy. But who's going for a marathon run every day to use that up? So we need to do something with it. And that is what our beautiful body is doing in the middle of the night for you. It's trying to regulate your blood sugar. So that when you wake up in the morning, you have a nice balanced blood sugar. But what's actually happening, if you're creating this every day and you're not sleeping well, can you see how you're not regulating? And you wake up with your blood sugar in your boots, what are you going to crave? Coffee, probably. It's normally coffee. Because what does coffee do? Puts us up. So we've got to understand, and this is why these are not only liver congestors, but they can also sabotage your sleep. It goes round about. The other thing that we're also regulating is your insulin. So, like I was just talking about that roller coaster, the body's wanting to pump out lots of insulin, there gets to a point where your body has enough doing that. It says, I've had enough, I quit. That really is the start of diabetes. We call it insulin resistance to start with, and then our body's trying to produce more and more to cope with that sugar, and we don't, it catches up with us. And this is where disease sets in. But what's really interesting, in our deep sleep, our body is regulating our insulin. It's giving it back its muscles so it can still do its job. Yeah, it's giving it back its stamina. The other thing we're actually doing is, I'll use the red pen, is we're regulating also, this one, our cortisol. Good old cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone, guys.
And what happens then?
Yeah, more weight gain. Cortisol equals fat storage as well. Cortisol is that stress response. We actually release cortisol when we exercise. This is why you can do too much of a good thing as well. And what we've got to understand about cortisol is that interrupts your sleep. Yeah? So if you're not sleeping well, it's possibly from elevated cortisol. Why and how does that all happen? I'm just going to find something. Well, we've got a little bit of space here, so I'll use it. I'm just going to talk about that body clock and how it's governed. The body clock. When we wake up in the morning, and even if the sun isn't shining, and we get out and exercise, what we're actually doing, we're going to increase our serotonin levels. Serotonin. So serotonin naturally increases in the morning, and then it plateaus in the day, and then it comes down in the evening. So by about 4 to 6 o'clock, it's on its way down, 4 p.m. So we are designed to have an influx, produce a lot of serotonin in the morning. And that's our happy hormone. That's what gets us up, gives us our mojo, and allows us to face the day. Yeah. Now, there's a relationship with serotonin. There's serotonin, and he's got a cousin called melatonin, and that's melatonin right there. So what actually happens is melatonin starts to decline in the afternoon, your melatonin rises, and it does the same thing, bell-shaped curve, and then down by the morning. So that starts to rise by about 6 p.m, and we have another peak at 10, and then 8, and then 10 o'clock. Melatonin, guys, is your chairman here. He's your CEO. He initiates the meeting. He initiates sleep. So he governs your body clock, essentially, in regards to sleep. What's really interesting, we need adequate serotonin to produce that melatonin. So can you